Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a video that's been requested a few times and I think it is quite a cute idea for a video, which is kind of all about the perfumes I've had throughout my life, perfume memories, sort of fragrances through time, whatever you want to call it. My life in perfume. If you are new here, then you may have guessed we are all about perfumes here on this channel. So if you are a perfume fan like me, then check out all those videos I have. I have hundreds and hundreds of other videos. And if you're a regular and you haven't subscribed, then do hit that subscribe button. Show your support. I really do appreciate it. And as always, guys, I will put a link down below to where you can buy all these perfumes in the US, Europe, UK, etc. So, thinking back, story time. I think that my first fragrance was Ralph by Ralph Lauren, which came out in the year 2000. And my dad used to travel for work, so he would be in the airports. And I think maybe it was around that time that he started traveling, that's when I started getting perfumes from him. And I think this was the one that he bought. I mean, you know what men are like, right? There will have been a big launch campaign for this and he will have been like, oh, I'll get that for Sophie. So yeah, this is what I think. I remember just cherishing it and feeling so grown up that I had a perfume like what adults have. And I've always had this thing where I use perfumes really scarcely. Like I treat them like these like precious things that can't be used, and then they don't get used and it's like, well, why do we even buy it, Sophie? Yeah, so I think I remember I had it for years and years. This was a very fresh, you know, very appropriate for being so young. It's Granny Smith apple orange, you know, very, very young, carefree, fresh. And whenever I smell this, you know, if I ever see a tester of it, which is rare, I always smell it and it just reminds me of that sort of treasuring that very first smell, that very first perfume I had. And then I think the next one he brought me was Flower by Kendo. This also came out in 2000, so that does make sense. I remember them both being from Dad around that same time. Again, this was, this always takes me back, this smell, but quite different to Ralph. This is a powdery perfume. Parma violets, vanilla, rose, and it's not something that I would choose nowadays because I'm not a huge Parma violet fan, but at the time the bottle was so different. No one had ever done a bottle like this. I think this sold incredibly well and is still selling today. So if you like that sort of powdery violets, then you can get this at very good prices. And I've never repurchased this after that, but I did very much treasure it, and I think I'd wear Ralph for more like daytime, and then I'd wear the Kendo at more like special occasions, if I remember rightly. And I used to just love the bottle, and I've always loved very plasticky things. The bottle has this really thick plastic lid and I love things like that. I don't know why. So I really did enjoy like looking at the bottle every day on my dressing table. So the next one I think I got was Miss Dior Cherie. This came out in 2005, so I think it will have been those other two perfumes and then Miss Dior Cherie when it launched. And this is the first perfume I remember loving, like smelling it and having that feeling of, oh my God, I love that smell. You know, the others I was more excited about because it was cool that I had a perfume on the smell and they smelled nice. Whereas this one, it had that addictiveness of, oh my God, I just want to smell the bottle. Like I love, love, love this smell. Back then, Miss Dior Cherie looked a little bit different to what Miss Dior looks like now. It just was printed on. It didn't have like that white label. Didn't have Natalie Portman at the face of it. And I loved it. It has popcorn in. I'm sure plenty of you remember how amazing this was. It was much stronger than Miss Dior now. And, you know, this was in my teens. So this was my first maybe more grown up, slightly, you know, I don't know what the word is, but definitely more grown-up smell with that sweetness in than the Ralph and the Kendo Flower. And I still have the Miss Dior Cherie Eau de Toilette, because after that, you know, Mum and Dad knew how much I loved it, so they'd always keep buying me it at Christmas, birthdays, getting me the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, I think maybe some of the body products as well, trying to remember, but this is the only one I have left from all of that. I obviously wish I hadn't thrown away them, but at the time you don't think that they're going to be discontinued. And this was after they revamped it and put these white stickers on. So before it was just like printed on the bottle, Miss Dior. And this still smells amazing, and you know, when I smell that, I'm 16 again, you know, it just takes me back. So yeah, really good. I then remember Coco Mademoiselle was incredibly popular, and Mum and Dad got me this one year instead of Miss Dior as a gift, and Mum started wearing it. She used to wear J'adore and then she switched to Coco Mademoiselle. And I remember, yeah, first Chanel perfume, I remember I did still prefer Miss Dior. And of course now I love Miss Dior, and Coco Mademoiselle, like, well, I like it, but I associate it so much with Mum now because it's all she wears and has done for like 10 years or something. So I would never wear it because that would be weird. I don't want to smell like Mum. No offense. And I then got this, and I remember I just didn't have that same love of it, you know. I just thought it was nice. And I think I ended up giving the bottle to Mum or something because I just wasn't that into it. And I think that's when they stopped buying me perfumes because they were like, oh, Sophie didn't like it. Yeah. At some point, I don't know when, I got Midnight Fantasy from Britney. I was a huge Britney fan in my teens, and I don't remember when, but at some point I got this. And I've always sort of gone to it as my sort of very cheap, affordable. And this is when I first discovered that I loved those sort of purple coloured perfumes that tended to have red berries in, blackcurrant, blackberry, cherry, those type of perfumes. They all tend to come in these dark purpley reddy colours, and I noticed that consistently it would be those ones that I liked. So I was starting to realise what I liked in perfume. I then, when I started working selling perfume, discovered Gucci Flora, which I wasn't aware of. And I just remember seeing it and being like, oh, I don't know what that is, don't know what it smells like. Smelling it and then loving it. So I then bought it and started wearing it, and I wore this a lot when I was selling perfume, and people would compliment and ask me about it, and I've then sell them this, and yeah, it was really, yeah, I really love it. They've changed the lid now. I think it's a black lid, but you know, it's the same. And this is like a candied orange. It's very pretty orange, but it lingers, it lasts, it has good projection. And yeah, I really, really like this. So another one I discovered was Irresistible Intense from Givenchy. Again, you know, that purpley coloured perfume. This is plum and rose, and that tends to be the kind of perfumes I like, you know, blackcurrant rose, raspberry rose, patchouli, those always tend to be the ones I like. Unfortunately, this is now discontinued, very annoying, but this really was great. It's sort of sticking around, I loved it. I then remember I went on holiday to Disney World in Florida, and in Epcot there they have the sort of world tour around the lake. I'm sure if you've been you'll know what I mean, where they have different countries. So, you know, they've got like Norway, and it's all the Norwegian gods and log flume, and then, you know, you've got England, it's fish and chips and the Beatles, whatever, and then you've got France, which has the Eiffel Tower, like a fake Eiffel Tower, and in there is a perfume shop. So of course I go in like, ooh, perfume, and I wander over to the Givenchy area looking for my intense, very Irresistible Intense. I don't see it, but what I do see is Ange Demon Le Elixir, the purple version of Ange Demon Le Secret. So I knew the eau de parfum of Ange Demon, I knew the Ange Demon Le Secret, which I liked, but this Elixir was new. We didn't have this in the UK. And because I saw it and I didn't recognise it, and obviously because it was purple as well, I immediately am like, okay, I'm gonna go try this. Tried it on, was like, ooh, really like this. And I just remember walking around Epcot, and this smell, I could just smell it all the time. and I just fell in love with the smell. It's weird because to me it did smell quite similar to Very Irresistible Intense, but it has different ingredients in totally, and I don't know why I found it so similar. It has orange blossom in, which I now know is something I really like. It has frangipani, jasmine-y, but what it had is this otherworldly quality, which is what I love about Ange Demon Les Secrets, but it was just a bit more like purpley, you know, it was just a bit more amped up and interesting and fun, and I don't know what the word is. It clung to you and it felt like smelling something from another planet. I don't know, it's so hard to describe. Frangipani was in there. It was so nice. Anyway, discontinued, isn't it? Gone. Just like the Very Irresistible Intense. So very sad, but I enjoyed that while it lasted. I don't have the bottle anymore and I wish I still had it. So back when I was back home, I'm working selling perfume, Jimmy Choo launches, and you know, it was love at first sight, right? It's that patchouli hit that I love with pear, toffee, you know, just this perfect love affair perfume. Where is it? Here it is. My baby. You know, I just love the smell. I love the fruitiness of the pear, the, you know, the longevity and the smell of the patchouli. Then a bit of toffee making it slightly sweet, and I just fell in love the moment it was released. I do actually really like the eau de toilette and the low version, but they're just, because they're eau de toilettes, they don't last that long, so I've always had the eau de parfum. And it was at that time that I also discovered Elie Saab. I remember the lady from the company, because when you're selling, there are different reps for the different companies that make the perfumes that come and tell you about new launches, order what new stock you want and stuff. And the lady that sold, well, that brought Jimmy Choo, Kenneth Green Cosmetics, they also did Elie Saab, and that got my interest up in Elie Saab. This is when I discovered it, and there was lots of promotions around it at that time. I used to recommend this so much. You know, people would come in for a wedding smell, or a lady that just, you know, looked quite classy and elegant. I'd always recommend this to them, and you know, most of the time they would love it. And it is still, as you guys know, one of my favorite smells because of this sparkling orange blossom. It's just so classy and beautiful. I remember while I was at university, Tresor Midnight Rose was launched, and the face of it was Emma Watson, Hermione from Harry Potter, and I was a huge Harry Potter fan. Not so much about the films, but that's a whole separate story. The books are better, hands up if you agree. But yeah, and I always thought she was very beautiful, and she, you know, she cut all her hair off after Harry Potter and became the face of this perfume, and it was like this new sexy Emma Watson, and everyone was really interested in this story. And this had this sort of spike in sales. I think everyone went and got it, but not many people repurchased it, I don't think, and now it's not a particularly great seller. Except me, because I love it. When I smell this, I smell university. It immediately takes me back to that time in my life when this was new and I was smelling it all the time. It's basically a syrupy blackcurrant. It's absolutely lovely. If you love your berry smells, you'll love this, and I love the bottle. And yeah, just massively underrated, I think. And then finally, more recently, Miss Dior Absolutely Blooming was launched. So after Miss Dior Cherie was discontinued, I was quite angry with Dior, so I stopped buying Miss Dior because I was just so upset that Cherie was gone. And then when Absolutely Blooming came out and I saw that it had these berry notes in as well as the sort of traditional patchouli smell of Miss Dior, I was like, okay, fine, I like this one, I'm back into Miss Dior, even though I'm still angry about discontinuing Miss Dior Cherie. So this basically, very classy, berry, patchouli, rose, you know, pretty, very expensive. And if you like Coco Mademoiselle, if you like Miss Dior, this is basically just a little bit more berry version of original Miss Dior, and it's really nice and rosy and classy, but not as good as Miss Dior Cherie. So That is my perfume story time, the life of perfumes and Sophie or whatever. Let me know what yours are. What are the key ones that you remember from like key points in your life? Do you have any that are the same as mine? Let me know down below in the comments, and keep your suggestions and requests coming for videos. I do read them, and I do yeah, try and do videos after you suggest them, so keep them coming. But that's it guys, so thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.